Valisneria is one of the easiest and most popular beginner aquarium plants to grow, but there are some reasons why you may not want this in your tank. Today we're going to talk about pros and cons of Valisneria. Now there are several different varieties of Valisneria. I'm growing Italian Val in particular, but today's topic can be applied to other varieties as well. I actually really love this plant, but only in the right tank. And as you will see, its greatest attributes can also make it problematic. Valisneria, or Val, thrives in hard alkaline water with medium to high light and spreads by constantly sending out runners and forming new plants. It grows quickly and spreads out, filling up a tank in no time. Aquarium Co-op has referred to Val as the one-plant wonder because this one plant can quickly and inexpensively give you an entire beautiful planted tank. However, if you plant it in a small tank, like a 20-gallon or a 10-gallon, it will overwhelm the aquascape. The smallest I've ever planted mine in was a 29-gallon, and it still seemed like not enough space. Because it can fill up a tank so quickly, it can also quickly crowd out other plants, which was part of my issue in that 29-gallon. I used to grow it in my 75-gallon RIPARIUM also, along with water wisteria and Amazon sword, but the wisteria got overwhelmed eventually, and with the Amazon sword and Val competing, it was like a battle between Godzilla and Ghidorah, Ghidorah representing the Valisneria. And I got tired of thinning out the Val constantly, and I wanted the Amazon sword as the dominant plant. Plus, Godzilla is supposed to win the fight anyway. Another reason why it was getting on my nerves in this tank was that it was covering the water surface and competing with my floating plants like the frog bit and the duckweed. And the Val would routinely get 3 to 4 feet long and just cover the surface, and it would get choked on there with all the vegetation. But Valisneria covering the surface can be a good thing if you plan accordingly, like not trying to keep it with floating plants. Some aquascapes can really look amazing with Val growing up and covering part of the water surface, and it gives the fish a shaded spot. The aggressive growth of Val can make it a high maintenance plant because of the frequent thinning out and trimming required if you are keeping it with other plants in the tank. However, if you are keeping it as a one plant wonder, like we talked about earlier, you can keep it trimmed at varying heights, the way that Corey from Aquarium Co-op talks about in his video, to be a fore, mid, and background plant. Depending on what kind of substrate you have, growing Val can be a possible concern. All of that rapid growth can potentially deplete the substrate if you have a shallow and largely inert substrate like plain gravel or sand. Now, fertilizing with root tabs can be a solution, but it may need to be done frequently with this thin, shallow substrate. Having a deep substrate bed is really ideal with an active media like aquasoil or a sand-capped dirt substrate can provide a substantial nutrient bank for fast-growing plants like Valisneria, and may need fertilizing at times, just not as frequently as the shallow type. Val can be a practical option for a goldfish, maybe even a cichlid tank, depending on the species, because it is so durable, and since these fish love to dig around and tear up more tender plant species. But if it's allowed to fill up the tank, this might be a problem for the large fish by taking up open swimming space, making it more difficult for them to just simply move around. And since Val does thrive in hard alkaline water, it's ideal for keeping with live bearer fish like guppies, platies, and swordtails. It gives great coverage for the fry and just helps create a forest effect for live bearer habitat. All the cons of Valisneria really comes down to the issue of planning. Learning how this plant grows and what it needs and planning accordingly can minimize or even eliminate the problems. In the right tank, this is a beautiful plant and one of my favorite aquarium plants. But in the wrong tank, especially with expectations that conflict with the way this plant naturally grows, that's when you experience the cons of Valisneria. So what is your experience with Valisneria? Have you ever tried growing it before? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know down in the comments section. To learn how to grow another easy beginner aquarium plant, check out this next video.